I'm listening. I have to.
Okay, so then I can start the intros then.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for coming and being here. This is a very special moment, an exciting moment, as each of your families embarks on this really more intensive part of your preparation as you look ahead to the mitzvah. And we're just going to start with doing some quick introductions. So I think you all know me. I think we've all met at some point, but I'm Rabbi Kling Perkins. I'm pretty, since this is my first year here, we will be doing some introductions. And also, I just want to say that I'm really looking for opportunities for us to get to know each other. It was wonderful getting to know many of you at various different events that we've already had together, including the Moving Traditions program. And I just want to encourage you, if we haven't had a conversation, come on up. I'm always happy and available to find some particular time to just get to know you and to chat. But right now, let's go around. So I'd like each family to share your names, everyone in the family, and parents, if you can just think right now how you're going to answer this question. What do you remember? What's one thing you remember about your bar mitzvah? So just take a moment, think about what you're going to answer. That way we can all really listen to each other. So you're not thinking about what you're going to say. Okay, and let's go around. Let's just start over here on this side and we'll come around. So why don't you introduce your family and then something you remember. Yeah.
So my name is Julie Heller, and this is my daughter Lauren Heather. I grew up in Florida, Miami, so my bat mitzvah was there. I'm trying to think what I remember about it. I went to Salman Schechter, so I had a conservative upbringing. My service was 3.5 hours long, and I remember doing all of it from beginning start to finish.
Good for you.
Yeah, I did the whole thing. And then it was...
That was great. We'll do one thing, because I know we have a bunch of families here. So fantastic. Thank you, Julie. And we're just going to pause. We're going to pause in the introductions, because I'd like to introduce Hope Carter. Hope is our new administrator. She has been communicating with all of you, I believe, about this meeting. She has put together the binders that you all see in front of you, and she has been already an incredible help to both me and Cantor in the short amount of time that she has been with us. So we'd like you to meet Hope, because she's going to be communicating with you a lot, potentially, over the course of the next year. Hope.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi, everybody. I'm happy to be here. I just started about 3 weeks ago. And yeah, everybody's been really welcoming, and I look forward to the new year and helping your children go through the mitzvah process. So, yeah, happy to be here and nice to meet everybody.
Thank you, Hope. So if you see an email from Hope Carter, it's probably important. She helps Cantor and me with keeping our calendars straight and with communications around meetings and all sorts of good, important things related to synagogue life and to B'nai Mitzvahs in particular. So thank you so much, Hope, for staying late today just to meet the group. And thank you for everything.
For anything that you need, and I'm always around to help. Okay?
Fabulous.
All right, have a nice night.
Good night. Okay.
I'm Heather Rudensky, and this is my daughter Sloan.
Hi.
I mean, I got a little lucky. I have a twin sister, so we got to share our mitzvah, and I had a new mitzvah.
There you go.
Yeah.
And so it was fun doing it together. That's like what I remember the most. Like, I mean, it's okay. We did one part, we did the other. And she wants me to tell you, too, that we had a travel theme, which was really cool. And everyone's place car was a passport. It was fun.
Was it Parshat Maseh? That was a parsha where they just traveled the whole time.
I don't remember.
Probably. Very cool.
Yes, I do.
My goodness.
You first took at the top.
Yes. Jeez.
Yeah. All right.
Hi everyone, I'm Stephanie Friedman. I Brody's
Glad you could come.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so I think I was on this with here. Oh, there you go. So I remember that. I don't know. I think I remember just truly like being really nervous for a lot of people to be staring at me up on a stage. And now looking back, I'm like, oh, I've done that so many times. It's just like part of like life. Then you, but it's amazing when you do it and you're like, I accomplished this awesome thing. So if it's scary when you're done, you're like, that was scary, but awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. And you did it.
Yeah.
You
Right.
actually did that. Yeah.
Right. And hopefully at the end of this, you can all feel real pride in your accomplishment.
Thanks, Stephanie.
Hi, I'm Anya Swinsky. I'm mom to Brandon, and
I'm here.
Dad, husband.
I remember a lot of things, but what comes to mind is when I was doing my lessons with the cancer, I was at that board. It was on a cassette tape,
Ah, yes.
and I was listening. I listened, and I heard my third portion with the cassette tape, so that was
It's a good memory.
Yeah.
Do the kids in the room know what a cassette tape is? Anyone know? Well, tell us what it is, Brandon. Do you know?
It's a video recorder.
It was on a rectangular thing that had wheels that you would stick in something called a boom box, not a phone or a Walkman, which is true, right? It's just like an MP3, but it's a physical piece that you have to insert into another piece.
And then film like
And then the tape would flow out and the pencils are
Fun memories.
All right.
hey, you're old.
We've established our oldness. Yes, great. Okay, back.
I'm
Yeah.
Scott Fisher. Chad Fisher. Matt Fisher. I was born this here. This is Rabbi Perlstein. Right before we walked out the meeting, I said, "How do you feel?" And I said, "I feel like I'm going to throw up." He looked at me and I said, "I'm not." But I just walked out, and that was it. So I remember that years later, no one bring it up. Went fine, but I was nervous walking in.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a very valid response.
Absolutely.
Very valid response.
Okay.
Awesome.
Great.
Hi everybody, I'm Michelle Coughlin and this is Lauren. What do I remember? I think the biggest takeaway was all the people that flew in from out of town, because we're like the transplants here in Philadelphia, and all my relatives from the Midwest and everywhere came in to fly in. So it was really nice to see everybody. So that was mine. So I remember everybody. I don't know.
That's great.
Yeah.
Thanks, Michelle.
I'm Amy McGinnis, Michael Hoffman, this is my husband. Elle was their middle one, and Gail already got comments with me a couple years ago in Chatter. I remember my canner used to sing "Once in Love with Amy" during my lessons. I was like, what are you talking about? I didn't hear that song before. And I remember my pretty pink dress.
Shoulder pads?
Yeah, my pink. No, but like
Ruffles?
and
Yes.
stuff. And like everybody has a variation of that.
Absolutely.
But it was pink and then like the ruffle sleeves.
So I'm going to date myself, but my bar mitzvah was 1988, and the Dodgers won the World Series that year, and my team was baseball.
Oh, wow.
And I got to be taught by one of the great, I would say, cancers of our time in Northeast Philly, Cantor Don Samuels. He's like 90-some years old now. I think he just retired. Sherry Shemayan.
Right, yes, they moved buildings.
Had
Yeah.
a really good time. I just remember the 80s and
And your cassette tape.
my cassette.
Hey, Michelle.
Hi, I'm Michelle Goldstein. This is Shayna and my husband Jason. And I just remember being really proud of, that day. And also, fun fact, my husband and I were bar mitzvah a year apart, and we ended up having the same Torah portion.
Nice.
That's really cool.
I love that.
Okay.
she doesn't know.
That's great.
That's
Thank you,
beautiful.
everybody.
Okay.
Thank you enough.
All right. Barbara, do you want to say hi and maybe share a memory from your bat mitzvah?
Sure, hi. Barbara Lechman, I'm the executive director here. My bat mitzvah was November 14th, 1980. I'll never forget. It was the year the Phillies won the World Series also. But what I remember a lot about my bat mitzvah, but one thing I remember is I didn't read from the Torah. It was a Friday night. I read Haftarah because back, in my day, girls didn't read from the Torah. So, I think it's so fabulous now girls to read from the Torah.
And so much more.
Yeah.
So you wanted to know? So I'll share a little bit of it. I'm Cantor Annalisa Concho-Romo. Great to be with you all, of course. So I have a lot of memories. I was bar mitzvahed in '94, and I definitely remember cassette tapes. But I remember because my family was, I'm not saying necessarily observant, but we were at services every single Shabbat, so we were kind of mindful of when Shabbat was over and keeping kosher, but we were also vegetarian. Anyway, the reason why I'm saying this is that I got my hair done the Friday morning before my bat mitzvah. It was a nice French braid, and then when I woke up the next day, my French braid went from being flat to about 3 inches taller than the rest of my head, and I couldn't do anything because it was hard as a rock hairspray. So that was really fun. And and my cantor, who I grew up with, Cantor Emil Berkowitz, Zichrono Livracha, he is one of my first mentors of a cantor. When I had to do my Haftarah, I think I've told a couple of my students this already, but he wrote down in about 6 different places, printed it out, cut it out, go slow, take your time, slow, don't rush. I mean, like all over plastered on the podium where I needed to chant. I didn't follow one direction. I zoomed through it. I listened to that cassette for 4 months straight because that's what I got. I got a cassette, and Cantor's like, okay, here you go. I was like, okay, great. So a lot of things stuck out to me. It was a very memorable event, but I did not have a bat mitzvah party. I had a picnic on a Sunday morning. So enjoy what you guys have. So. Yeah, probably very much so. Yeah.
All right, well, I guess I'll share too.
Yeah.
So my bat mitzvah was not on a Shabbat morning. It was on a Sunday morning, which was Rosh Chodesh, because my family was Shomrei Shabbat. We didn't drive to synagogue on Shabbat. I still don't. And we had a lot of family who also would not drive to synagogue, and there were no hotels in walking distance of our synagogue. So in order to accommodate all of our guests, we had my bat mitzvah on a Sunday morning. So that was one thing. So even though I could tell you what portion it was, what parsha it was that week, it was Parshat Noach. I didn't read that. I read the short Rosh Chodesh selection. And I remember what I talked about also because it was connected to my invitations, which I made like a design that we then like sent out, and it was like a big tree. Remember I talked about the environment. Anyway, it was very memorable. So also lots of family. Okay, so clearly there are lots of different elements of this process that can leave lasting memories, and we hope that those memories will be positive for all of you. So Cantor is going to frame this whole experience for us right now.
Perfect.
And in fact, we're in the right spot.
I was just going to say, like, I could direct your eyes to the stone inscription on the wall. So here we have a verse. It says, let me sing it for you. That's what I do, right? If you're familiar with it, it goes like this. Ashlosha devarim, Ashlosha devarim, Torah ve'al ve'al gemilut chasadim. And there's more and more repetition. But the reason why I wanted to sing it to you and to share it with you is that this verse translates as, upon these 3 things the world is created, right? It stands on HaTorah, right? The Torah itself, the 5 books of Moses, Al Ha'avodah, which now translates to worship or prayer, and Gimilut Chasadim, acts of love and kindness. And the way we see our process, the B'nai Mitzvah process, is that these three elements really encompass what we do at Ohev. So Rabbi, of course, will take the Torah element of this, where she will work with your child and with all of you, of course, alongside to help cultivate and create a beautiful interpretation of what the Torah portion will mean to your child, for you guys, and also for you guys to also interpret what the Torah portion means to you. You might find something strange or maybe uncomfortable or maybe really exciting. And what all those feelings combine is what's so beautiful about Judaism, is that being able to question and seek answers is what studying Torah is all about. So that all of those directions and the meetings that you're going to have with Rabbi are going to be put into a speech of sorts, right? This is not a book report where you're going to tell us what the Torah portion is about, but rather pick something that really speaks to you, and you'll share it with the community. So the Rabbi is going to really help you do that well. And I'm sorry, I know that that's part of it, and I don't want to overstep what Rabbi is going to say about that, but that's a big piece. So let me talk about my avodah, the worship part of it. So what the service is going to entail and what the process looks like. So we are going to begin this whole process with a family session. And for some of us, we've already met, and we've had an opportunity to check in and talk about what the actual details of this process will look like. And once we have a family session, there is something that is new. We just started it this last spring, where we've introduced a new tutor. Her name is Carolyn Savitsky. She's also part of our Hebrew High. She's been part of Ohev for as long as I can remember. She was my maternity B'nai Mitzvah tutor, and that was 8 years ago, almost 8 years ago. And she knows our kids, she knows our tunes, and she's a wonderful tutor, B'nai Mitzvah tutor. So what will happen is, following the process of the family session, you guys will coordinate, she will coordinate with you and reach out to you, and she will begin focusing on prayers within the Friday night service and the Torah service, the two main elements for which your child will be chanting their prayers. And so when that occurs at the family session, all of you have the parent binder, which each of you guys is going to have your own. And Sloan, you said you brought yours too, or is this the old one from last year? There you go. It looks practically exactly like the parent one, but inside you will receive a booklet. And in fact, I carry one with me all the time because it always comes in handy. This is the B'nai Mitzvah, Haftarah, and Torah booklet. Inside, of course, are the texts for the Torah and Haftarah, which is also really meaningful, which will serve you well when you start meeting with Rabbi to start writing and drafting your Devar Torah. Is a page in the middle of the booklet that talks about the summary and some values and a little bit of history as well. And it's a really great, so I can find it now. It's a really great resource to start. So it literally says Torah portion summary, and it breaks down the Torah portion into numerical chunks. So what I encourage everyone to do is to absolutely look for this page, but also there's a really great translation that is readable and understandable, along with some commentary on the bottom that is going to be worthwhile in your studies as well. So everything that you need Torah and Haftarah wise is in here. But we also provide, I was talking to Brandon about this earlier, a student siddur. A student siddur is a siddur that has been used by previous students, where their notes have been taken inside the pages with pencil and tabbed all of the prayers that a student typically learns. And I like to recycle these siddurim because more than not, a lot of the notes that a student has taken will really serve and benefit your kid in the future. If we need anything that is in these student siddurim can be erased, right? Because you may need them, you might not need them. But if you have them, and we can also write anything else, it really is helpful to have any little notes, any logistical pieces like when to bow, when to stand, those kinds of things, as well as understanding what these prayers mean. So it's really nice that we have these prayer books that we can give to our students, and then we pass them down to the next generation of kids who come through. So that's one big piece of it. And unfortunately, we don't still use cassettes, right? We have moved into the digital age, thankfully. No more my dog ate my Torah portion or my cassette got ran over by my car. None of those excuses anymore. I mean, well, maybe, I don't know, but I know that this is a prized possession among all of you, myself included, but especially our kiddos. And so what I've done now is that we use a cloud storage app called Dropbox, and all of the prayers, including Torah and Haftarah recordings, are in this app. I created a folder that has everything covered as well. And so during lessons, which both Carolyn and I will be doing a once a week 30-minute lesson, and at the end of each lesson, what I like to do is I text each of my students their assignments as well as the recordings. So there's no fumbling around trying to figure out, I didn't write it in my assignment sheet. It's all there on your phone, which I love. And it served as a really great tool for myself, because I also like to check in with my kids. If there's an issue, if they need a recording, we have communications, of course with your permission, naturally, but it's great to have something that the kids use all the time, as well as the student prayer books and the binder that includes the booklet. I've talked about Carolyn, talked about the pieces of their lessons that they have. So one of the really big pieces is, for some of us who are not as familiar with a Shabbat morning service, it's a really great opportunity for us to join services when you're able. I know that the year is really challenging, a lot of different activities and programs and things that you're doing along the year. But what we would like to encourage everyone to do, especially for your child, is to come be a part of service. And as the months roll on, I've sent out an email or two about having you guys lead parts of their service, just like you did tonight. So the more comfortable you are in your service, the actual day of your service, it's because you have access to coming up on the Bima and leading prayer, whether it's on Zoom, but of course we'd prefer you guys to be in person. We would love for you to come once Friday and one Saturday a month, right? That gives you plenty of time, and I definitely encourage you guys to come with your friends, right? Sit with each other, bring your Sidurim, do things together. Absolutely. The more comfortable you are with one another, the more confident you'll feel. And I know no other group in this entire congregation who is not as supportive as our Shabbat regulars. They love receiving our kids. They enjoy having you guys on the Bima and leading our prayers and our service. So they're a really wonderful group, and we encourage everybody to come. There will be emails sent out saying what weekends for sure will not have any particular programs or a service. As you know, this is a very wonderfully big class, and so come March, most weekends will be occupied with a B'nai Netzah service. So there's not a lot of opportunities, at least through spring, but there's all during the summertime. And then we'll move on into the fall. So there's definitely moments where you'll be able to come and be with each other, but we encourage both family, parents, and the student to come together. It's a really important piece that we model what our children should be doing. And understandably so, if there's anything within the service that you're not as comfortable with, you're not familiar with the service, I'm happy to have conversations with you, to meet with you, to find ways that we can create resources for you. I have lots of different things. If transliteration is something that's more comfortable for you, I have lots of resources in that realm. So anything that you'd like to talk to me about regarding things that you're not as comfortable with, I'm happy to sit down with you. The last other piece of this is support at home. One of the things that I like to offer is that we have been blessed with, not only does our Shabbat regular folks encourage and welcome all of you, but during the summertime, I am usually away in the month of July, and I have brought upon into our congregation two or three, used to be three, now it's two, lay people who are in the congregation who know how to lead services and read Torah and Haftarah. And they have been my faithful community tutors for almost 10 years now as well. And I have one person in particular. Her name is Eileen Shine, who used to be an educator for 30 years, and she is now since retired, but she is a phenomenal Haftorah reader, a Torah reader, and she knows her prayers beautifully, and she has offered her services free of charge. And so she can be as an additional support for anybody who is seeking extra support for your child. So we can also talk about that. And if there's anybody within your home, right? If it's a parent, if it's a grandparent, a sibling who knows any of the elements of the service, reach out. Don't be afraid to have somebody listen to you do your prayers, right? And even the people in this room, you guys, it's okay if mom listens to you. It's okay if dad is peeking in and seeing what you're doing. We want you all to be encouraged to be a part of this process because this is really what I would consider a very big family experience. We're all connected in some way or another. So we hope that you will be partners in this as we are all partners in this together. And again, anything that I can help offer you as a resource, I'm happy to put things together. So why don't I turn it over to Rabbi so she'll give you a little bit more detail about the Torah element.
Okay. So again, we're going through those three things. The world stands on three things: Torah, worship, avodah, and gemilut chasadim, acts of loving kindness. So I want to frame the whole thing for a moment, kind of to complement what Cantor was saying. The mitzvah process is not actually about the day of your service. It is about actually all of the learning that you have to do to get there. That's what I care about, is about the engagement and the comfort that you get in these different aspects of Jewish living. Because our hope is that becoming a b'mitzvah is just one step along your way to figuring out what does it look like for you to become somebody who Judaism is a part of your life. And what parts of Judaism are most important to you that you want to be sure to build into your life. So I'm giving that introduction because this piece, Torah, hopefully you have done Jewish learning before you come to my office to start working on your Dvar Torah. Because hopefully you've been learning in religious school. Hopefully you've done some learning simply through living your life and being part of a Jewish family. And we hope that you will continue to do Jewish learning. But we have an opportunity as part of this process to sit down together. I sit down usually with the child and the parents together, and we're going to talk about your Torah portion. You're going to get an understanding of what does it mean, and you're going to find something about it that speaks to you, or that bothers you, or that raises questions for you. We're going to talk about it, we're going to do a little bit of learning, and you're going to share with the community what you've learned. So that's your Dvar Torah. We're going to work on it together. I'm going to help you through every step of the way, making liberal use of Google Docs and the ability to comment and really discuss back and forth. Typically, we do 2 Divrei Torah meetings, followed up by some exchanges on Google Docs, and then at our final B'nai Mitzvah meeting, which is about a week ahead of time, then that's when we meet and we really just check in about that moment, reflect on the process, and maybe do a tiny bit of just discussing really what you've accomplished with your Dvar Torah. Any questions? We'll have like general questions later, but any questions about that? Okay, great. And our third prong upon which the world stands is Gemilut Chasadim, acts of loving kindness, and for that we'll turn to Barbara Glickman.
Yeah,
Come on up.
So I have the wonderful opportunity to work with our families on the Chesed project, the Kindness Mitzvah project, and there's so many things that you can do. I'll meet with you about a couple months before to start thinking about what is meaningful to your family, what is meaningful to your child, and offer some suggestions and go over some of the guidelines of the Chesed project. And briefly, the Hesed Project guidelines are something that you do 6 times. You can raise money, that's great, but it's about the actionable piece of it, whether you're going to a shelter or a rescue and, taking care of animals, or whether you're going to an assisted living facility and playing board games with the residents there. And even more importantly, what I always like to share with families is when, you're doing your mitzvah project and you're going to try and connect it to your Torah portion and find something in your Torah portion that connects to what you did. So for example, a great example is JRA, and I do have some flyers that I'm going to leave out if you want to grab one, about going to the Jewish Relief Agency. It's 10 hours, and if your Torah portion is about harvesting, well, food harvest, you can make a connection, and like Rabbi said, whether it's a positive or maybe something that bothered you about that. But I have lists upon lists. I have connections in the Jewish world about doing a chesed project, but it doesn't have to be a Jewish organization. I've had kids go to, I think it used to be Greenleaf, I forget what it's called, in Doylestown, and they played games with the residents there. There's a lot of cat rescues that need help sometimes, though they require parents to be with them because of the age, and Michelle, like 14, but it's just a great opportunity for you to give back and share something as a family together. So we'll be in touch. I think it's on the timeline, Candace? It's on the timeline when we'll be in touch. We can meet in Zoom, we can meet in person, we can meet over coffee, whatever you want. So thank you.
Okay, great. Oh, wait, do you have my outline, or is that your outline?
No, mine.
Okay, great. Okay, fabulous. Okay, so we've talked a lot about the preparation, and again, we hope that this will give you some of the tools and the experience to make Jewish choices in the future. And now we want to talk a little bit about the celebration. Because, of course, we know that as you think ahead to this moment, this is something that is really worthy of celebrating, and I'm sure I know many of you have been giving much thought to how to celebrate together. So one of the things that we really know about the Bar Mitzvah experience is that this is a celebration of each child on multiple levels. We're celebrating the individual. We're celebrating as a family. You're celebrating within your family, and we're celebrating as a community. And so we at OHEV have the opportunity, following the service, to celebrate your child as a community. And so each of you, as part of the Bar Mitzvah fee, you are each celebrating both a Friday night oneg, which is desserts following the service, and on Shabbat morning, a kiddush lunch for the congregation. And that is really an opportunity for all of us to celebrate your joy with you. So Barbara is going to speak a little bit about the logistics of that right now. Thank you, Barbara.
Thank you. That was great. Yes, the community as you know, we're a warm, welcoming, inclusive community. Our Shabbat regulars love Bar Mitzvah students, and they love when there's bar bat mitzvah or Bar Mitzvah. And, part of Jewish culture is eating. So Friday nights, we have an oneg that follows the service. It's from Kramer's. It's all included in your Bar Mitzvah fee. And then Saturday morning, we do our standard kiddush lunch. That's included in your Bar Mitzvah fee. And we'll go over this, a month or so before. And it includes on Saturday morning bagels, whitefish salad, store-bought bagels, whitefish salad, things like that. But you're more than welcome to add to it to, supplement from Kramer's. Call Kramer's, have them deliver it with our stuff. Same on Saturday morning if you want to, have some trays come in or get some lox from Costco. And there's a list of catering companies in the back and places where you can get. If not, if you don't know, call me and I'll fill you in and we'll meet and we'll talk about it. But it's all included. The basic stuff is included in your Bar Mitzvah fee. And Kramer's is also Saturday morning. So we always like to say also, if you're going to supplement with something, please factor in 30 congregants. So if you're ordering trays of, lox and cream cheese sandwiches, just factor in for 30 congregants. And if you want to supplement with drinks, we could do that too. There's a lot of ways to upgrade. We provide the basic paper goods. We've had a lot of people supplement, bring in balloons and centerpieces and set it up on, Friday morning, come in just to decorate the tables, bring in different tablecloths and things like that. So we're really open to that. We want to be a great feel and a lot of fun too. Also, Thursday before the mitzvah is your photography session, 3 o'clock. So I'll be in touch with you, whoever your photographer is. I'll need their certificate of insurance. And sometimes I already have it on file if the person before you used the same one, but just know. And then ushering. Did you want me to talk about ushering? Or did you? Okay. Part of the process is giving back to each other, and in your binders, there's a list of ushering. Every family is responsible to usher for another family's mitzvah. So I encourage the kids to come too, because then they can see the service and what's going on. There's a list in the back of your binder that's put together. If you can't usher on the date that is listed there, you have to switch with somebody else. Don't come to me or Hope. You guys have to do it amongst yourselves. And then I'll be in touch with you about 10 days before, 2 weeks before, to confirm that you're ushering, and then I will send you a list, an email of just some points to follow when ushering. And I'm usually there. I'm here most of the time, unless I'm away, for every mitzvah. So I'll be here to help and to guide and to make sure everything runs smoothly at the door. Right, so you'll see I know the list has to be updated, but it would be your cohort. Yes, your cohort. So, and it's nice because you get to support each other. Yeah. So if you have any questions on that, let me know. But honestly, a couple months before, I feel like you don't have to worry about it now. Just be in the loop about it.
So are we going to get a list of who we can, because I know I'm going to have a conflict with mine.
Yes, yes, and that's got to be updated anyway. So yeah, there'll be an updated list.
Agree that if you can't do your baby, you want everyone to say, can anyone switch? And just someone else will.
Well, you have to do it amongst yourselves, yeah.
Between us.
Yeah, send an email. People do it over email. Who can,
So something I can suggest, which is a big thing that I've been noticing lately, is on the usher schedule, it should be in the binder towards the very end of the packet. So we do have to edit it. But what I could suggest is that all the phone numbers of everybody, all the parents that are in there, you could create a WhatsApp group, right? You guys can check in with each other. Yeah. And if you have a conflict with your date that you have currently, then you guys can check in with your group and see who could take it, or if you have questions along the year of your child's service, this is a great way to connect with one another. So that's another possibility. Yeah. Thank you, Barbara.
Thank you, Barbara. Yeah.
I missed what you said. I'm sorry. She was talking to me.
So my suggestion was that everybody's number will be a part of the new usher schedule, and so you could create a WhatsApp group with all the numbers. Of course, somebody would have to designate themselves or nominate somebody within your class to put that together, but I think that's a really, really great way to get to know each other and also find a substitute if you can't make your date, or your ushering date.
I guess it has to be for about mitzvah date.
Yeah, all the ushering is simply for your child's class. It's just this group. Okay.
I also just want to point out that these binders that you just received have within them details about everything we're discussing here tonight, including how to usher, including, again, the Kiddush information. All of this stuff is written down in those binders. So you can look at it now, and you can also come back to it and refer to it as a reference. It's there to help you. So one of the things that we talked about a little bit is that you here are a cohort, right? You go to religious school together. You're going to be having your B'nai Mitzvahs during this same time period. You're going to be ushering for each other. And you're also going, and we also ask that you each invite each other to your services. And that is because you are in a class together. You're each other's classmates. And one of the things that classmates and then a cohort does together is to support each other by coming to each other's service. So that, it does not have to be a big fancy invitation, but it can be by email. But we would like you to invite each other to each other's services, and that you will come and attend each other's services. Obviously, for those of you at the Bar Mitzvah later on, it has the added benefit of helping you become comfortable, but even more is that you get to celebrate together as a class, and you get to really have this experience together as a group. There's a few other items that I wanted to talk about. So one is, again, in your book is more information about expectations in terms of ritual garb at Ohev Shalom. So many of you have been to our services. You may be aware that everyone who comes to our services is invited to cover their heads in some way. It can be a kippah. It can be one of those beautiful wiry kippot. It can be some other kind of a head covering, but we do ask that everyone cover their head. It is not a requirement that is policed, but it is something that we invite everyone to do. And that we also invite everyone who is Jewish and above the age of mitzvot to wear a talit. We have some talitot in the front. We have a variety of talitot, including ones that are particularly feminine that are available for borrowing. And of course, in our gift shop, we also have a range of beautiful talitot. Now, we do, now those are all, again, we encourage those things. But when it comes to being up on the bima, we do have an expectation at Ohev Shalom. Anybody who leads a part of the service, anybody who reads from the Torah, anybody who holds the Torah, we do require that that person wears a talit and that that person covers their head. And so we are happy and here to talk about that if that is a challenge or an issue for everybody. But we wanted you to know that, and also for your family members, if you're inviting members of your family to read Torah or to hold, or I guess holding a Torah would usually be the parents, but just to be aware of that. Yeah.
What about if they're just doing like an aliyah?
So our ritual committee is in process of discussing this right now. Up until now, it has been the expectation, it is our policy that people who have an aliyah all have to wear a talit, but it has not been enforced. And so we are going to discuss whether to make that a clearer expectation. We have talitot up on the bima, so that is not having it will not be a barrier to anyone. We have them available for folks. At the moment, we are not enforcing that particular policy, so that is something that the ritual committee will be reflecting on.
So, who's on the ritual committee, or how do you get on it?
Great. We have.
I will send you the person's contact information.
It is open. If you are interested in being a part of the ritual committee, please let me know. I will be happy to connect you with the chair of the committee. The ritual committee is a group that I'll say that Cantor and I really turn to for as somewhat of a brain trust and a group to help reflect on some of the policies in the community. So it's important for us to really think through some of these issues, and so they're very helpful with that. Yeah. So again, up until now, it is the policy. It has been the policy, but because it has not been enforced, it was something that we're going to need to discuss. Or I would say it was enforced unevenly, which is perhaps the worst. So we're going to be changing that. Does anyone have any questions about that? Okay. Great. So, okay, relatedly, you have at the bar mitzvah the opportunity to honor people who are important to you in a number of ways. So again, the booklet has much more information and details about that. There are honors which are specific to being Jewish. Having an aliyah to the Torah is something that is really about our relationship with the Torah as Jews. So if for families where the bar mitzvah has a parent who is not Jewish, that parent will go up to the Torah with their spouse during their spouse's aliyah. But other than that, we're not calling up folks who are not Jewish for an aliyah to the Torah, simply because it is about our special relationship with the Torah as Jews. But there are other honors which are available to folks who aren't Jewish. We have readings, particularly the prayer for our country, and we can add in an extra prayer for peace as needed. Those readings can be done by multiple people. And when we have an ark opening, there are 2 ark openings that are typically given out to family members during the service, at the beginning and at the end. We can have up to 4 people open that ark, and we ask that one of them be Jewish. Again, opening the ark does have to do with our relationship with the Torah, but because it's less of a ritual act, we do allow for a Jewish person to be joined by folks who are not Jewish. Any questions about honoring folks? There's an honor sheet in your book. We tried to organize it in a way that it was pretty clear. So aliyot can have up to 4 people, ark openings can have up to 4 people, and we tried to really lay it out there. And if you have any questions, or if you feel like those honors available don't meet your needs as a family, we can have a conversation and figure out what makes sense.
Question.
Yeah.
It says there's, if I'm reading it correctly, there's 3 aliyahs.
There are 3 aliyot plus the one for the mitzvah.
Okay.
Exactly.
So there's 4 spaces.
Each aliyah can have up to 4 people.
Okay, so what happens? I want 4 kids. I have 3 siblings that are each married.
We'll talk about it. We'll figure it out.
Okay. Okay.
We'll figure it out.
Great.
We will. Where there's a will, there's a way. And again, we have ark openings. We have things, and we'll figure out how to distribute. Great. We'll figure something out. Sometimes we can get 5 up there. We'll figure it out. Okay. Other questions about honors? Okay. Yeah.
So I know to do an aliyah, like you need to be an adult. But what about the other pieces? Like if there's the calling up the bar mitzvah to the
Great. So those other ones you do not need to be an adult.
no age.
No age. Well, so typically calling up is often done by a sibling, often a younger sibling. So
That's what I figured. I just wanted to confirm it was fine.
absolutely. And we love getting kids up there. And just speaking of kids, we have it in there. Hopefully you all know that our congregation is really welcoming of children, and that we have toys in the sanctuary, and that we really try to do everything we can to make this a welcoming space for kids. And so we hope that you can share that information with your family and friends, particularly those with young kids, so that they know that they are welcome in that space. They know that there are toys available for them, and that we really want to support them in whatever ways we need. If they need a quiet space with their kid, we can make that available as well. Anything else?
What about
Ein Keloheinu. Yeah.
age limit for that or requirement?
Hey, my 3.5-year-old leads it most weeks, so.
I'm just,
And by the way, when I say leads it, she thinks Ein Keloheinu is called Ein Kamalkeinu, but it's okay. We still let her lead it.
Sorry, maybe not. If
Yeah.
so the actual Torah reading, who are the other people that get assigned to those?
In just a moment, I'm going to talk all about that.
I was going to say, if there's family that's I read Torah, I'd love to do it. Can we?
Absolutely.
That is fantastic. We want that, and yes. Great. Okay. All right, I think we're ready we will have more question time, so no worries. And I'll turn to Cantor.
Yeah. So I just wanted to add another piece to the calling of the Torah. So it's a really beautiful tradition in Ohev that I've not encountered, and I'm wondering if Seth, you have gotten to be a part. I'm sorry, not Seth. Scott. Did you have that when you guys? And Stephanie, did you have the siblings call them up to Torah? Craig? Oh, interesting. Okay, so it's been, for the most part, a very lovely, time-honored tradition here at OHEV where we have siblings. Also, for students who don't have siblings, we encourage anybody who has somebody who's really close to you, right? A cousin. This person should be Jewish because they are going to be reciting a very small phrase in Hebrew. And I provide a recording, a transliterated text. And there's time to practice at the conclusion of this process, which is the final rehearsal, where the sibling, and if the person who you want to include, whether that's a family member or somebody who's really close to you, is in town, they can come and we can practice, or I can certainly talk with them over the phone. So there's definitely ways in which to do that. The piece that you had mentioned, Stephanie, about In Kelohenu, I have been asked, and I have encouraged any siblings who know prayers, like the Vashamru is a great prayer to invite your sibling up to, right? Lauren was a perfect example of that. Her brother Jared had his bar mitzvah not too long ago, and she came up and helped us with the Vashamru. We really want this to include as many members of the family as possible, especially the siblings or anyone that's really close to the students, of course. So I just wanted to add that little piece. And there's lots of different ways that we can include throughout the service without taking away what each of you guys are going to be leading. So let me reference now what the Torah reading is all about. So during a bar mitzvah, there are 7 aliyot, 7 different small portions that are read. The 8th part of it, which is called the maftir, is exclusively for the bar mitzvah student. They have their own separate aliyah, which is called by their sibling or a special person in their life, and they read the Torah. The other 7 smaller breaks of aliyot can be given out to anybody in your family or close friends who are Jewish. We're going to discuss towards the end something that you have in your binder is something called the Year at a Glance outline, which gives you every single date of importance throughout this entire process. And so in this outline, about 4 months prior to the service, we will be in touch with each other to connect about if you have anybody who'd like to read Torah within your family, or maybe some close family friends as well. You are not obligated to fill all 7 spots. We have lots of community lay people who read Torah on a weekly basis. Both Rabbi and I like to read. Barbara also reads as well. You are under no obligation to chant Torah or to find somebody to do that for you. But of course, if you are a parent and you're interested in reading Torah, I always really encourage you guys to take a chance. The smallest aliyah we can provide is 3 verses. I give you a text of with vowels. I give you what it looks like in the Torah, and I give you a recording. And that's for all of your guests who are interested in reading Torah.
So you don't have to know every trope.
No. Not necessarily. We would prefer, of course.
I went here. We got hot this way.
Right.
They didn't teach you every trope. They came every morning.
Yeah.
And we're like, learn your part. Do you want to your class? Everyone else, I actually was called the mentor portions. There were so many students when I was here.
Right.
And then they gave me another part too.
Oh my goodness.
I had to learn trope because I had to learn another.
You had to learn another Torah portion. Well, that's fantastic that you did it, but right. So so trope, for those of us who are not familiar with this terminology, this is actually a Yiddish word that's referring to what's called cantillation, which there are symbols within every single word in the Jewish Bible. The Tanakh has these cantillation marks. And cantillation marks, when grouped together in a certain way, create a musical phrase. And one of the reasons why we sing the Torah is under the idea of chidur mitzvah, to beautify a mitzvah. And the mitzvah is not actually to chant Torah, it's actually to hear the Torah being read. So you, as a potential Torah reader, or your family members who are going to be reading Torah at your child's service, is doing a beautiful mitzvah for the entire community there. So I absolutely encourage you guys to think about it. When I reach out to you, I'm just going to ask for emails and phone numbers of people so that I can send materials, and then we'll be in contact. If they're local, I also invite anybody to come to the sanctuary, and we can take the Torah scrolls out. If you yourself are going to read Torah and are feeling a little bit frantic about looking at into a scroll, you can come to me 6 months ahead of time, and we can make things work. I really want everyone to feel comfortable with this. So it's a really beautiful piece, a beautiful extension of including everybody in the service, and it is in no way taking away from your child reading Torah. I really want to make that clear, because a lot of the times parents feel a little hesitant to want to do something on their own in their child's service, but it really is a beautiful way, and in a sense you get to study and learn together, right? All parents have their own aliyah. It is the aliyah that is right before your kid's aliyah. So parents get to be on the bima with their child when they read Torah, which I think is a really beautiful connection. And then you also are responsible for reading the Torah blessings before and after. There is a copy of those blessings in your binder as well, and I'm happy to send a recording of the melody, or you can ask your child, because they will have it also in their Dropbox. So that is a lovely piece of that. So do we have any questions, any other questions regarding Torah reading? Great. Happy to answer it if something else comes up. The last thing I want to mention as far as the weekend itself is that, of course, I think everybody actually in this room is a Saturday morning. And so the service is, of course, Saturday morning. Services start at 9:30. We end around 12:15 or so. But we also have everybody leading parts of a Friday night service, right? Shabbat begins at sundown on Friday, so we really want to encourage the kids to do any of the prayers that they're doing on Saturday to do as well on Friday night. There are, of course, specific prayers that are for Friday night, for Kabbalat and Shabbat Ma'ariv, but they are in charge of doing both parts of the service. And the last piece of this also, as I mentioned before, coming to services, being a part of the community, just kind of acquainting yourself with the Siddur and the motions of the service itself. We have what we used to do prior to COVID, is that we would invite the parents and the B'mitzvah student to come on a Thursday morning minyan at 7 a.m. And believe it or not, people came, students led parts of the service, and then once COVID happened, things, of course, as we all know, shifted in lots of different ways, and then I think I decided that maybe 7 a.m. is not the best time for everybody, so we moved it, to our weekday Thursday evening minyan. So what you guys did today is exactly what I encourage all of our students to do the Thursday prior to their service, where they'll lead prayers like Oseh Shalom, Ve'ahavta, V'ne'emar, Michamocha, anything that they are prepared to do in their service, they will be able to do certain elements on that Thursday evening.
And so the photos are like free, and then you basically like eat dinner and like stay for a minute.
No, so it's on Zoom. It's on Zoom on Thursday. Yeah. No, it's.
Trying to find and like where is it?
Yeah, it should be on the last page of the outline, and it'll tell you about the Zoom element of it. But yeah, it's on Zoom. I think that's the silver lining. One of the small silver linings of COVID is that we've used Zoom to our advantage. We have a lot of our community members who come for our weekday minyan, and so just like in person on Shabbat morning, they're thrilled to see you guys lead prayers on Zoom. So when you're here for pictures at 3 o'clock, however long it takes you, an hour, 2 hours, the whole run of the gamut, you can go home. It really is a photo shoot, and you have free range of what kind of photos you want. Rabbi and I have, we're carrying on the Ohev tradition of certain poses that go along with being in front of the Torah and with family, but really the photography piece of it, there's lots of different ways you can do that. But we're not telling you to stay from 3 o'clock till the end of the day. Absolutely not. Not happening. Oh yeah, no.
It's a whole weekend.
It is. But that's a big piece. So it's Thursday night evening minyan at 7 on Zoom. And our OHEV website, it's new, it's brand new. If you haven't had a chance to look at it, I highly encourage you to go around and check it out. It's a beautiful website. And there's everything that you could ever need and want, including our Zoom Minion link. It's on the top right-hand corner of our ohev.org webpage, so it's very easy to access. And so just wanted to put that out there. So those are the three elements of your child's service. And then I just want to transition really quickly to the email that I sent Wednesday morning, which was the initial intake form. I know that some of us have filled it out and some of us have not. If you have not filled it out already, or if you have not received an email from me, please let me know. Please fill out the information. It's just initial information about any particular needs that your child needs throughout this process is really important. Thank you guys. I'm glad you guys came.
Sorry about that.
No, it's okay. I understand. We are very close to finishing, I promise. And so I just want to make sure that everybody has a chance to fill that out. So if there's anything that we need from you, that we have the information to contact you, whether that's an email with cell phone. And so, again, if you don't have this information, please reach out to me and a rabbi. And so the last thing I want to talk about is the year at a glance outline. So in the binder that you guys have, I just want to go through this really quickly. I have it on my computer. Here you go. Okay, perfect, yes. So I'm not going to really go through exactly, but it looks like it's the very first thing in your binder. So, like I said, this year at a glance outline has, with some exceptions to some areas that we've just caught, all the dates and marks of the year that you will be looking out for. So the first session with Rabbi talked about, there's a section about the Torah reading and the part where Barbara will be checking in with you about the Chesed project. When we get closer to the end, there is something called the Dovetail. This is our online newsletter that we invite families, for your kid, to write a little biography about themselves so that the community can see who's going to be coming up next to lead a service. And so we have our Dovetail editor, Sharon Goldstein, who is going to be receiving your paragraph. Now, a picture, it says here that you should be submitting it with a picture. That is totally optional. Because it's an online newsletter, we recognize that not everybody wants their child online. So if it's comfortable for you to send a picture, absolutely please do so. But it is absolutely fine that you don't do that. But I want just all of us to understand that that is a possibility should you choose to do that. When we have all of our final elements here as well, Rabbi had mentioned she meets with you to kind of go over all these last bits. This is the final preparations page, making sure that all of the paperwork is handed in. And so if there's a time in one of these in the outlines that just shows the month and the year, then that means that Hope will be in contact with you to set up a specific time. But just to be aware that in that month, if you're meeting with Rabbi to discuss their Devar Torah, and it says, let's say June of 2025, Hope will be in contact with you to set up something that's in there so that it fits your schedule accordingly. The last piece of this that I'll just bring up is in section under final preparations is the final service rehearsal. So this is, we invite the whole family to join, siblings included, if there are siblings in the family, and we basically go through the entire service. We're not doing every single prayer. We're not going to be here for 3 hours, but what we will do is we're going to go through the logistical pieces of it, get ourselves comfortable with the space. One of the things that we've added over the years is, in years past, the fathers of the Bar Mitzvah used to hold the Torah when we put the Torah away. And we wanted to include the mothers and offer that option as well. So parents both get a chance to hold the Torah if they're comfortable doing so. We practice walking around the room with the Torah. If you are reading Torah, we'll take the scroll out. Your child will be reading from the scroll that day, as well as practicing their Haftarah. And then we'll be going over particular prayers that are specific to that moment that need review. But we go through page by page relatively quickly so that we can get an entire feel for how it'll flow the Sunday before the service itself.
and that is usually at 1:45 in the afternoon. So you don't have to come that early. If that timing does conflict with your schedule, by all means reach out to me and we'll figure out a time that works best. But that gives us some time to not wake up so early, and we have plenty of time to be able to go through everything. Yeah, that's really the gist of the outline. We just wanted to have a document in your binder that you could take out, stick it on your fridge, and as the calendar progresses, you can say, oh, this is coming up, let me check in, or maybe Hope has already reached out to you, and you know what to expect. We really want to try to give you enough notice and be there to guide you through this process in any way we can, so we wanted this outline to be that piece for you. So I'm going to conclude it there and open the floor to anybody who has any questions. Robert, do you have any other?
No, just joining for the questions.
Yeah.
Thank you for bearing with us. We know it's a lot of details, and please feel free. Take a look at the binders. We're available to ask questions. You can always reach out to us, and please go to services. If you go during B'nai Mitzvah, you will notice things. You will notice things now that you've had this meeting that you maybe would not have noticed before. And pay attention. We want this to be a comfortable place for you.
Absolutely.
Okay. Questions?
I like the binder. It's very organized, not at dates. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Julie.
Yeah. I know it's a lot of work for each person.
We really want to make sure that you know what's coming down the pike. Yeah.
So, yeah, I appreciate it.
Quick question.
Always.
Sorry, I maybe I just misunderstood this. The form, which I have plenty of time to think about and fill out, with the aliyahs,
Yes.
it has 5, 6, but that means that the first 4 are
Our congregation.
Okay. That's what I'm assuming so.
Yeah, correct.
But we could still have people read it.
Absolutely. Yeah. The reading is separate from people being called up. They do. Yes.
Right. Well, and I appreciate that question too, because this service takes place every Shabbat morning with or without a mitzvah. And so you are going to be joining the service. We're going to be celebrating your family, but not all honors are reserved for the family. We do have those first 4 aliyot are reserved for the congregation, and we also have certain other aliyot, like lifting and wrapping the Torah, that are reserved for members of the congregation.
Right. We have an aliyah specifically that's a yahrzeit aliyah, so people in the past week who are observing a yahrzeit for a loved one, we have the 4th aliyah specifically designated for anybody. So if you happen to be somebody who has a yahrzeit that past week, that could be something that you could be a part of, but we really want you to have your own moment of, having the 7th aliyah for that. But otherwise, we have lots of different things going on during Shabbat, and we want to invite and include the community in that element as well.
I just want to make sure I was doing the right things that I'm supposed to be doing, asking the right people for the right things.
Yes.
There is no question too small. Anything that you want to just clarify or just inquire about, absolutely.
And the only main honor that is missing from that honor sheet is the Torah reading, because that really has to be so much in conversation with Cantor.
Right.
Other questions? Any kids have questions?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
We know it's late. We really appreciate your time and you guys coming out.
And I'm so excited for all of you. This is a really exciting moment. I know it can be anxiety-provoking, but I hope it's also a moment for joy and feeling proud.
Thank you guys for
Mazel
coming.
tov.
Thank you. Mazel tov to all of you.
September 5th.
Sloan, what are you looking for?
I'm seeing who has like no bar mitzvah, who's like ushering her.
Who's ushering
Do you
her?
think it's somebody from
Chesna.
I think it's Chesna.
But who says her date that she's ushering?
Yeah, it says that she's look, that's Zach.
Look on Chesna.
Yeah. You guys are fun. Oh, does Chesna have her?
Wait, it's right here. It says her date.
Oh, no. Oh, yeah, that's incorrect.
So she's doing mine?
So, yes, because I know you guys are very close. So Chesna's service is a twilight service.
So that's what we're
why I wanted you guys, because I know you guys are
Chesna's
close.
doing mine. I'm doing Chesna.
Can I usher Ches?
I'm ushering Chesna. Great.
Yeah, it's, all right, we'll have to, like I said, we'll have to go back and make sure that the ushering schedule is all taken care of, and to include you guys. Yes, I think there was some miscommunication on our end.